I stood there in that cold basement while strangers discussed my price like I was furniture, and all I could think was, maybe I really am worthless. Before we begin, I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me where in the world you're watching this from. Are you listening while cooking dinner, during your commute? I love hearing from this community. Now, let me tell you about Margot and the night that broke her before it saved her. Margot had always known her stepmother didn't love her, but she never imagined hate could be sold. The medical report sat on the kitchen table like a death sentence. 3 words that changed everything. Permanently infertile. Irreversible. Margot was 22 years old, and according to her stepmother Constance, she had just become worthless. "You know what you've done to this family?" Constance's voice was ice. Her father had died 2 years ago, leaving Margot alone with this woman who never wanted her. "Your father married me to give you a proper home, to give you a future. And what future does a barren woman have?" Margot's hands shook as she held the paper. She'd suspected something was wrong for years, but hearing it confirmed felt like watching her entire life collapse. "I can still work. I can still contribute." "Contribute?" Constance laughed, bitter and sharp. "You think I can afford to keep feeding you, clothing you? You're not a child anymore, Margot. You're a burden with no prospects." The next morning, Constance told Margot to dress nicely. "We're going into the city to meet some people who can help with your situation." Margot should have known better. She should have run. But where does a girl with no money and no family go? The building was in a neighborhood Margot had never seen before. Expensive cars, armed guards. Constance gripped her arm too tightly as they walked through doors that locked behind them. The basement was cold. 3 men in expensive suits sat at a table, and Constance pushed Margot forward like livestock. "She's healthy, young, obedient." Constance's voice was businesslike, detached. "The infertility makes her practical, no complications." Margot's blood went cold. "What is this?" "Quiet." Constance's nails dug into her shoulder. One of the men stood, circling Margot slowly. "Domestic service or estate work?" "Whatever pays most," Constance said. Margot's legs nearly gave out. They were selling her, actually selling her into servitude. "I'm not property," Margot whispered, but her voice disappeared in that concrete room. The negotiation took 15 minutes. Constance walked away with an envelope of cash. Margot walked away with a collar of debt she never agreed to and a contract she never signed. The men told her she belonged to the Fordham estate now. 20 hours of work per day, room and board deducted from wages she'd never see, no contact with the outside world. As they loaded her into a van, Margot looked back once. Constance was already walking away, counting money. The estate was enormous, beautiful, terrifying. Margot was given a uniform, a list of rules longer than her arm, and a room the size of a closet. The head of staff, a severe woman named Mrs. Pascal, made the situation clear. "You are nothing here. You do as you're told. You speak when spoken to. You are invisible." For 3 months, Margot was invisible. She cleaned rooms she'd never be allowed to sit in. She prepared food she'd never taste. She washed clothes worth more than everything she'd ever owned. The Fordhams rarely appeared. When they did, they looked through her like glass. But their guests were worse. Men with cold eyes and cruel smiles. Women who threw wine glasses just to watch her clean it up. Margot learned to make herself small, to disappear into walls, to swallow her tears until she was alone. Then came the winter party. The estate was filled with hundreds of guests. Margot worked 23 hours straight, her hands raw and bleeding from chemical burns. Near midnight, she was carrying champagne glasses through a crowded hallway when someone deliberately stepped into her path. She fell, glass shattered everywhere, and Mr. Fordham himself appeared, fury twisting his features. "Clumsy whore, that crystal was worth more than you'll earn in a lifetime." Margot kept her head down, apologizing, but he grabbed her hair, yanking her head back. "Maybe you need to be taught respect." His hand raised. Margot closed her eyes. The blow never came. "Touch her, and I'll break every finger in your hand." The voice was quiet, dangerous, a man's voice. Margot opened her eyes to see someone she'd never noticed before, tall, maybe 40, with tired eyes and carpenter's hands. He wore a simple suit that didn't fit the wealth around him. "This doesn't concern you, Callahan," Fordham snarled. "It does now." The man, Callahan, didn't move. "Let her go." The hallway had gone silent. Everyone was watching. Fordham released Margot's hair with a shove, and she collapsed into the broken glass. "You've made an enemy tonight," Fordham said quietly. "Not the first time." Callahan extended a hand toward Margot. "Get up." She took it, shaking, bleeding, and he walked her out of that hallway, through that crowd, and didn't let go until they reached the kitchen. His name was Owen Callahan. He wasn't a guest at all. He was a contractor, hired to restore the estate's antique woodwork. He had a cabin on the edge of the property where he stayed during the project, and for some reason Margot couldn't understand, he decided to notice her. "You need to leave this place," he told her that night, bandaging her hands with surprising gentleness. "I can't. I have a contract. Debt. A contract you didn't sign is slavery, not employment. You don't understand. My stepmother sold you." "I understand perfectly." His jaw tightened. "I also understand that if you stay here, Fordham will make your life hell for what happened tonight. Men like him don't forget humiliation." Margot pulled her hands away. "Why do you even care?" Owen was silent for a long moment. "Because someone cared about me once, when I had nothing." Over the next 2 weeks, Owen appeared like clockwork. He brought her food she was actually allowed to eat. He treated the infections on her hands. He talked to her like a human. Owen learned he was a widower, that he had 2 children, a boy of 12 and a girl of 8. He worked contract jobs to support them, living in his truck between projects, doing whatever it took to keep them fed and in school. "They're with my sister right now," he said, showing her a photo on his phone. 2 kids with bright smiles in their father's eyes. "This job pays enough that I can finally rent us a real place, give them stability." "You're a good father," Margot said softly. "I try to be." He looked at her carefully. "You deserve stability too, you know. Kindness, a life that's yours." No one had ever said anything like that to her before. But before Margot could respond, Mrs. Pascal appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Fordham wants to see you, immediately." Owen stood. "I'll come with just her." Margot's blood went cold. Fordham's office was all dark wood and darker intentions. He sat behind his desk, fingers steepled, watching Margot with the expression of a man considering an insect. "You've become a problem," he said simply. "First, the incident at the party. Now, consort with the help during work hours. I don't care for excuses." He opened a drawer, pulled out a document. "Your contract states that any infractions can extend your term of service. You've accumulated quite a few infractions." Margot's throat closed. How long? 7 more years. Unless, there it was, the trap. Unless what? Fordham smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "I have business associates who are looking for companions, women to manage their households, accompany them to events, discreet, obedient women who understand their place." The meaning was clear as glass. "And if I agree to this, your contract is fulfilled immediately. You walk away with a generous settlement. Everyone wins." Except for her dignity, her freedom, her soul. "And if I refuse? 7 years, Margot, here, under my supervision." He leaned forward. "I can make those years very long." She had 24 hours to decide. Margot stumbled out of his office, her mind spinning. 7 years of this hell, or a lifetime of potentially worse? She found Owen in his workshop, carving details into a restoration piece. When she told him, his chisel slipped, gouging the wood. "You're not doing either." His voice was steel. "You're leaving tonight." "I can't just run. They'll find me. Constance sold me through some kind of trafficking network. They have connections. Then we make sure they can't find you."
Owen set down his tools. I'm finishing this job in 2 days. Then I'm taking my kids and moving 3 states away to start a furniture business. Come with us. Margot stared at him. You can't be serious. Why not? I need help with the kids while I'm building the business. You need a place when no one's looking for you. It's practical. Practical, she almost laughed. You're offering to upend your entire life for someone you barely know. Owen met her eyes. My wife died giving birth to our daughter. For 3 years I was drowning. A stranger, a woman who ran a shelter, gave us a place to stay, helped me get back on my feet, asked for nothing in return. He stepped closer. Sometimes people just need someone to believe they're worth saving. I'm returning the favor. Margot felt something crack open in her chest. Hope, maybe.
Or terror. Your kids don't even know me. They know their dad is a good judge of character. They'll understand. He hesitated. But Margot, you need to understand something. This isn't a rescue fantasy. I'm not some prince. I'm a broke contractor with 2 kids who need help. If you come with us, it'll be hard work, different than this, but still hard. I can't promise you that. I don't need it easy, her voice shook. I just need out. Then pack whatever you care about. We leave before dawn. At 3 in the morning, Margot crept through the dark estate with a single bag. She'd left a note in her room, a fake one, about accepting Fordham's proposition and leaving to meet his associate. Hopefully it would buy them time. Owen was waiting by his truck, and they drove in silence until the estate disappeared behind them. The sun rose as they reached Owen's sister's house. The children, Lucas and Simone, tumbled out the door in pajamas, launching themselves at their father. Margot stood awkwardly to the side until Simone peered around Owen's leg. "Who's that?" "This is Margot. She's going to be staying with us for a while, helping out." Lucas, the older one, studied her with serious eyes. "Are you in trouble?" Margot blinked, surprised by his directness. "Yes," Owen said before she could answer, "and we're going to help her, just like Mrs. Chen helped us, remember?" Both kids nodded solemnly. Simone walked over and took Margot's hand. "It's okay. You're safe now." Something inside Margot shattered. She knelt down, tears streaming, and this 8-year-old child she'd just met hugged her like she was worth loving. The next 3 months were chaos. Owen found them a small rental house in a town called Mercer's Ridge. It was cramped, drafty, and the plumbing made concerning noises. It was perfect. Margot threw herself into helping. She'd never taken care of children before, but Lucas and Simone were patient with her fumbling attempts at cooking, homework help, and bedtime routines. Owen worked brutal hours, building his client base for custom furniture. Margot saw him leave before dawn and return after dark, sawdust in his hair, exhaustion in every line of his body. But he never complained, and he never made her feel like a burden. Slowly, Margot began to believe she might actually be safe. Then one night, Lucas came home from school crying. "They said Mom died because she had me and Simone, that she'd still be alive if we weren't born." Margot found Owen in his workshop and watched as he pulled his son close, voice breaking. "Your mother wanted you more than anything in the world. What happened wasn't your fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. And she would be so proud of who you're becoming." Later, after the kids were asleep, Owen sat on the porch steps, head in his hands. Margot sat beside him quietly. "Some days I don't know if I'm doing any of this right," he said finally. "I can barely keep the lights on. The kids need stability, and I'm giving them rental houses and secondhand clothes. Simone still has nightmares about her mom. Lucas thinks he's responsible for everything that went wrong." "But they have you," Margot said. "They have a father who loves them enough to work himself to exhaustion, who teaches them kindness, who shows them what good looks like." She hesitated. "I never had that. My father tried, but he was weak, and after he died, I had nothing. Your kids have everything that matters." Owen looked at her, something shifting in his expression. "You're good with them, better than you think." They're good kids. You raised them right. We're raising them. He said it simply, like it was fact. You're part of this now, Margot, this weird, broken little family, if you want to be. It wasn't a marriage proposal. It wasn't even romance. It was better. It belonged. 6 months in, Owen's business finally started gaining traction. A wealthy client commissioned a full dining set. Then another wanted a bedroom suite. Word spread about the carpenter who created art from wood. For the first time, they had breathing room. Owen hired an assistant. They moved to a better house with a yard. The kids started thriving at school. Margot enrolled in online classes, studying business management to help Owen with the administrative side of his growing company. They fell into routines. Owen makes pancakes on Sunday mornings. Margot braids Simone's hair before school. All 4 of them piled on the couch for movie nights. It felt like healing. But Margot couldn't shake the feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And then it did. She was at the grocery store when she saw her, a woman from the estate, one of Mrs. Pascal's assistants. Their eyes met across the produce section. Margot abandoned her cart and ran. She made it home, locked every door and closed every curtain. When Owen came home, she was shaking so hard she could barely speak. "They found me. Someone from the estate. She saw me." Owen's face paled. "Are you sure she recognized you?" "I saw it in their eyes. Owen, if they tell them—" "Then we deal with it." He pulled out his phone. "I have a lawyer friend. We're going to do this properly. Get ahead of it." But the lawyer's assessment was grim. The contract Margot never signed was technically unenforceable, but Constance had signed as her guardian. The trafficking network was sophisticated, with connections in law enforcement. Fighting it could take years and money they didn't have. "Your best protection is visibility," the lawyer said. "Make yourselves known in the community. Establish Margot as a resident with ties. Make it harder for them to make her disappear." So they did. Margot volunteered at the kids' school. Owen joined the local business association. They became visible, known, real. But every car that slowed near their house made Margot's heart stop. Every unknown number made her hands shake. 2 weeks after the grocery store incident, a black SUV parked across the street. It sat there for 3 hours, watching. Owen called the police, but by the time they arrived, the SUV was gone. That night, Owen sat the kids down. "We might need to move again," he said gently, "just to be safe." Lucas looked stricken. "But I finally made friends, and Simone just made the soccer team." "I know, buddy, I know." Simone turned to Margot, eyes huge. "Is this because of you?" The question was innocent, but it cut like glass. "Yes," Margot whispered. "I'm so sorry." "Are the bad people coming?" Owen started to intervene, but Margot stopped him. "Maybe. I don't know. But your dad and I are going to do everything we can to keep you safe." "But if keeping us safe means you leave?" Lucas asked quietly. The question hung in the air, because Margot had thought about it late at night when the fear was loudest. If she left, disappeared on her own, maybe they'd follow her. Maybe Owen and his kids could finally have the peace they deserved. "No one's leaving," Owen said firmly. "We're a family. We stick together." But Margot saw the fear in his eyes, too.
The next day, Margot made a decision. She found the number for the Fordham estate and called. Mrs. Pascal answered on the 3rd ring. "This is Margot. I know you're looking for me. I want to negotiate." Silence. Then, "Mr. Fordham has been very disappointed by your departure. I'll pay back what my stepmother paid, every cent. I just need time. This isn't about money anymore, dear. This is about principle, about respect. You embarrassed Mr. Fordham. You broke a contract. There are consequences. Then what do you want? Come back. Fulfill your obligations. 7 years, as discussed. Do that, and we'll leave your new family alone." Margot's hands shook. "And if I refuse? I'd hate to see anything happen to those children. Such a lovely boy and girl. Lucas is 12, isn't he?
and little Simone is 8, so innocent." The threat was clear as a knife. Margot hung up and immediately told Owen everything. His face went white with rage. "They threatened my kids? I'm leaving, tonight. I'll lead them away." "Like hell you are," Owen paced, thinking. "We need leverage, something to make them back off permanently." "What leverage do we have against a trafficking ring?" "Information, evidence." Owen stopped pacing. "You lived there for months. You saw things, heard things. There has to be something we can use." Margot thought back. Parties with guests who shouldn't have been there, conversations overheard about shipments and payments, a safe in Fordham's office that was open during one late-night emergency. "There might be," she said slowly, "but getting proof means going back." "Then we go back, together." "Owen, no!" "I'm not letting you walk into that alone." His voice was steel. "We do this smartly. We get evidence of illegal activity. We go to the FBI. We bury them so deep they never surface." It was insane. It was dangerous. It was their only option. They planned for 2 days. Owen's lawyer friend connected them with an FBI agent who'd been investigating trafficking networks. The agent, a woman named Torres, was cautious but interested. "If you can get me concrete evidence, I can move. But you need to understand the risk. These people are dangerous." "More dangerous than leaving my kids to live in fear?" Owen asked. Torres studied him. "You're a good man. Don't get yourself killed for being heroic." The plan was simple on paper. Owen would return to the estate under the pretense of finishing contracted work he'd abandoned. Margot would come as his assistant. While Owen worked, Margot would access Fordham's office. "The safe code is his daughter's birthday backwards," Margot said. "I saw him use it once." "And if you're caught? Then you get the kids and run." Owen gripped her hand. "That's not the plan. It's the backup plan." The night before they left, Margot tucked the kids into bed. "You're coming back, right?" Simone asked, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "I'm going to try very hard to," Margot said honestly. Lucas sat up. "You've made Dad happy again. He smiles now, like he used to with Mom. Don't let the bad people take that away." Margot kissed both their foreheads, memorizing their faces, just in case. The estate looked the same, beautiful and terrible. Mrs. Pascal met them at the door with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Mr. Callahan, how good of you to return. And you brought your assistant." "She's good with detail work. I'll need her for the restoration." They were shown to the workshop, the same space where Owen had once bandaged Margot's hands. For 2 days they worked. Owen actually did restoration work, maintaining the cover. Margot mapped the house, noting guard rotations, camera positions, and Fordham's schedule. On the 3rd night, their chance came. Fordham left for a business dinner. Most of the staff went with him. "Now," Owen whispered. They moved through the dark hallways like ghosts. Margot's heart hammered so hard she thought it might break her ribs. Fordham's office door was locked, but Owen had come prepared. The lock clicked open. Inside, Margot went straight to the safe while Owen kept watch. The code worked. The safe swung open. Inside were ledgers, digital drives, photographs, evidence of everything. Trafficking operations, money laundering, connections to officials who were supposed to be stopping this. Margot grabbed it all, stuffing it into her bag. Then she heard Owen's sharp intake of breath. "Someone's coming." They ran, down the hallway, toward the servant stairs, footsteps pounding behind them, shouts. They burst out a side door into the gardens and ran straight into Fordham. He stood there with 4 armed men, smiling. "Did you really think I wouldn't know you were here, that I wouldn't prepare for this?" Owen pushed Margot behind him. "Let her go. This is between us." "This stopped being between anything the moment you made me look foolish." Fordham nodded to his men. "Take them." The men moved forward. Owen swung hard, dropping one, but there were too many.
Margot saw Owen go down, saw blood, and something inside her snapped. She ran, not away, toward Fordham. She slammed into him with everything she had, and they both went down. Her bag spilled open, evidence scattering across the grass. Fordham's hand closed around her throat. "You've been far more trouble than you're worth." Margot's vision started to darken. Then lights everywhere, vehicles. FBI, everyone on the ground. Agent Torres emerged from an SUV with a dozen agents behind her. Fordham's hand loosened in shock. Torres had been watching, waiting. The moment Owen signaled they'd found evidence, she'd moved in. Fordham and his men were arrested. The evidence was secured, and Margot crawled over to where Owen lay bleeding from a head wound, pressing her hands to the cut. "You're so stupid. You could have died." "So could you." He managed a weak smile. "We're even." The trial took 8 months. Fordham and 17 others were convicted on trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy charges. The network was dismantled. Constance was arrested trying to flee the country. Margot testified. It was the hardest thing she'd ever done, standing in that courtroom, recounting every humiliation. But Torres stood beside her, and Owen sat in the gallery every single day. When it was over, when the verdict came down, Margot walked out of that courthouse and breathed free air for the first time in her life. Torres met her on the steps. "You did good. 17 people are going to prison because of you, and we've identified 43 victims who are getting help." 43? Margot broke. 43 people who have a chance now because you were brave. That night there was a small celebration at the house, just their family and a few close friends. Lucas made a toast with his juice box. "To Margot, who's basically a superhero." Simone added, "The best kind, the scared kind who does it anyway." Margot looked at these kids who'd accepted her, this man who'd risked everything, and realized something. She was home. Later, after everyone had left and the kids were asleep, Owen and Margot sat on the porch. "What now?" she asked. "Now we live." Owen looked at her. "We've been so focused on surviving, on fighting, that I don't think we've actually talked about what comes after." "What do you want to come after?" Owen was quiet for a long time. "I want to build furniture, watch my kids grow up, maybe expand the business." He hesitated. "I want you to stay, not because we need help, not because you owe us, but because you want to." "I want to," Margot said immediately. "But Owen, I need to figure out who I am outside of being afraid, outside of being grateful. I need to stand on my own." "I know, and you should." Owen turned to her. "But standing on your own doesn't mean standing alone. You can build yourself and still be part of this family. Those things aren't mutually exclusive." Margot felt tears on her cheeks. "I don't know how to do this, how to be happy, how to trust that it won't be taken away." "Neither do I." Owen took her hand. "I've been terrified since the day my wife died, terrified I'd fail the kids, terrified I'd mess everything up. And then you showed up, and I was terrified of losing you, too. But being terrified doesn't mean we stop living." "When did you get so wise?" "I'm not wise. I'm just tired of being afraid." He squeezed her hand. "Stay. Build your life here. Go to school if you want. Start a career. Travel. Whatever you need. Just come home to us." "Us?" "Me and the kids. We're kind of a package deal." Margot laughed through her tears. "I noticed." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars, and for the first time in her life, Margot let herself believe in tomorrow. 2 years later, Margot graduated with a business degree. She'd started a non-profit helping trafficking survivors rebuild their lives. Owen's furniture business had expanded into a full workshop with 6 employees. Lucas was applying to high schools. Simone had become the star of her soccer team. They'd moved again, this time by choice, to a bigger house with room for everyone to grow. Margot had her own space, her own.
Owen smiled.
Good, because the kids have been asking when you're going to officially be part of the family. Margot's heart stopped. What? Not like that. I mean, not unless you want it to be like that. Eventually, maybe. Owen was blushing, fumbling. I just meant they want to know if you'd consider adoption, making it legal so they can call you mom if they want to. Margot couldn't breathe. They want to call me mom? Simone's been practicing in the mirror. Lucas is pretending he's too cool to care, but he asked me 3 times this week if I'd talked to you yet. I'm not their mother? No, you're not trying to replace her, but you're the person who reads to Simone every night, who helps Lucas with his homework, who shows up. That's what being a parent is. Margot wiped her eyes. I can't believe this is my life. Is that a yes? That's a yes. Owen pulled her into a hug, and Margot let herself melt into it. There's one more thing, Owen said quietly, and you can say no. You can take all the time you need. There's no pressure. You're terrifying me. I love you, he said it simply. Not because you help with the kids, not because we've been through hell together, but because you're you. You're brave and kind, and you make me want to be better. And I know your life is finally yours. I know you're building something. I'm not asking you to give that up. What are you asking? Owen stepped back and pulled a small box from his pocket. Margot's heart stopped completely. I'm asking if someday, when you're ready, you might consider building it with me, as partners, as equals, as whatever you want us to be. The ring was simple, beautiful, perfect. You don't have to answer now, Owen said quickly. You can think about it. Take your time. Yes. Yes? Not someday. Yes, now. Yes to all of it. Margot was crying and laughing. I spent my whole life thinking I was broken because I couldn't give someone children. But you taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about showing up. It's about love that chooses to stay. Owen slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her like she was precious. They told the kids the next morning. Lucas tried to play it cool, but ended up crying happy tears. Simone screamed and launched herself at both of them. I knew it! I told you, Lucas! I told you they were in love! You're so embarrassing, Lucas said, but he was grinning. That night, all 4 of them piled on the couch. No movie, just talking, planning, dreaming about the future. Margot looked at these 3 people who'd saved her by letting her save herself, who'd given her space to heal and roots to grow. Thank you, she whispered to Owen, for seeing me when I was invisible. Thank you for letting us love you. Simone snuggled closer. Are you going to tell the story at our wedding about how Dad rescued you? He didn't rescue me, Margot corrected gently. He gave me a chance to rescue myself. That's better. Way better, Lucas agreed. Outside, the world was full of darkness, but in this house, at this moment, there was only light. Margot had been sold like property, treated like nothing, told she was worthless because she couldn't bear children. But she'd found something better than revenge or redemption. She'd found a family that chose her, a man who loved her for exactly who she was, children who called her mom not because of biology, but because of belonging. She'd found home. And for a girl who'd been told she had no future, that was everything. 6 months later, they married in the backyard. Small ceremony, just the people who mattered. Simone was the flower girl. Lucas walked Margot down the aisle. When Owen promised to love her for better or worse, Margot knew he meant it. They'd already survived the worst. Everything else was just better. Years from now, when Margot told this story to the survivors she helped, she would end it the same way every time. You are not what was done to you. You are not your trauma. You are not the lies people told you about your worth. You are whoever you choose to become. And you deserve a life that's yours. And she would mean every word, because she lived it. She was living it still, and it was beautiful. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear that broken things can still be beautiful. And remember, your worth was never determined by what you can give.